We'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We'll declare the meeting open. I'm going to ask Councilmember Henry Marroquin if he'll lead us in the pledge and invocation, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Dear God, thank you for the gift of life today. Fill our hearts with your love and our minds with your wisdom, so that we might have compassion and love towards one another. We pray to you, Lord, for our first responders, our city workers, our citizens, and all of us in general to protect us during this hot weather from any danger. Continue to bless and favor us as we continue to give you all the glory. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Henry. All right, Council, we have a couple of sets of minutes to approve tonight. The called City Council meeting of June 26th and the called City Council meeting of July 5th, 2023.
Move to approve the minutes of June the 26th and July 5th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are to the citizen comments portion. Does anybody have anything on any item on the agenda this evening? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion, unless a council member or citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda items are E4, E5, F1, F2, F3, and H3. Would anybody like these broken apart for any reason? Okay.
Move to approve consent.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, council, this is the meeting where we have the double asterisk consent agenda. These are the same, except they're subject to staff review letter and will be approved without discussion unless a council member or citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda subject to the staff review letter includes items H4, H5, H6, H7, H8, and H9. Would anybody like these broken apart for any reason?
Move to approve the consent agenda double asterisk based upon the staff review letter.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, we are to public hearing. We'll open public hearing. This time, Linda, if you'll read D1 for us, please.
Ordinance 6613, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Sherman's zoning ordinance, Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, and granting a specific use permit to allow automobile sales, new or used, and automobile repair, bodywork, or painting in the C2 General Commercial District, 75 and 82 Overlay District, located at 2303 Texoma Parkway, consisting of 0.770 acres, being in the Smith-McLaughlin Survey, abstract number 808, and being a remainder of Lot 1 in Block 1 of Highland Park Addition, City of Sherman, Grayson County, Texas.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this item is for a specific use permit to allow automobile sales and auto repair. The applicant would like to do the auto repair as it pertains to their the sales of the vehicles, not for general auto repair for customers. Planning and Zoning heard this item at the June 20th meeting and voted 5-2 to approve this item.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Yes, sir.
Exactly what we're here. Sherman Motors is currently located at 3514 Texoma Parkway here in Sherman. We've been there the last 5 years. We've been renting the property. We just now purchased the property at 2303 Texoma Parkway. So we're actually just moving our operation right down the street and as an owner of the property this time.
Okay, very good. Well, if we have any questions, we'll get with you in just a moment.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. All right, Linda, if you'll read D2 for us, please.
Ordinance 6614, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Sherman's zoning ordinance, Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, and granting a specific use permit to allow mini warehouse in a C2 General Commercial District located at 5820 Texoma Parkway, consisting of 3.66 acres, being Block 1, Lot 1 in the Sherman Mini Warehouse Addition, City of Sherman, Grayson County, Texas.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this item is for a specific use permit for a mini warehouse in a C2 district. The applicant purchased this property recently and is wanting to expand it by 14,000 square feet. It's currently an existing mini warehouse at this location, and that's what their plan is just to expand it and increase the number of storage units at that location. Planning and zoning voted to approve it 7-0.
7-0. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this project this evening? Okay. Not Linda, if you'll read D3 for us, please.
Ordinance 6615, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Sherman's zoning ordinance Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, to rezone a tract of land consisting of 8.68 acres, being in the A.C. Smith Survey, abstract number 1561, City of Sherman, Grayson County, Texas, located in the 6501 block of North Highway 75, heretofore zoned R6 Single Family Residential District, rezoning and placing the tract in the MF30 Multifamily Residential District zoning classification.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this item is for rezoning from an R6 district to an MF30. The applicant is proposing to construct 144 units, consisting of a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. Planning and zoning heard this item at the June 20th meeting and voted 7-0 to approve.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to speak about this item this evening? Okay. Not Linda, if you'll read D4 for us, please.
Ordinance 6616, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Sherman's zoning ordinance Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, to rezone a tract of land consisting of 0.131 acres in the Samuel Blagg Survey, abstract number 56, City of Sherman, Grayson County, Texas, located at 419 South Montgomery Street, heretofore zoned R6 Single Family Residential District, rezoning and placing the tract in the R5 Single Family Residential District zoning classification.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this is for a rezone from R6 to R5. The lot currently is smaller than a 60-foot lot, so the applicant would like to rezone it to R5 so they could build a single-family home. Planning and zoning voted 7-0 to approve.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to speak about this item this evening? Okay. Not Linda, if you'll read D5 for us, please.
Ordinance 6617, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Sherman's zoning ordinance Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, to rezone a tract of land consisting of 0.517 acres in the Samuel Blagg Survey, abstract number 56, and being all of lots 1, 2, and 3, Block 1 of Post Oak Addition, City of Sherman, Grayson County, Texas, located at 708 and 722 South Rusk Street, heretofore zoned R6 Single Family Residential District and a C1 Retail Business District, rezoning and placing the tract in the CN Neighborhood Commercial District zoning classification.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this location is the current location of the Little Store. You might be familiar with it. The property owner and the tenant have purchased the property to the north of them. They've cleared the land. They're wanting to put a parking lot at that location. And part of that is requiring to rezone it to neighborhood commercial and get a replat of the property. Planning and zoning heard this item and approved it 7-0.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. Not Linda, if you'll read D6 for us, please.
Ordinance 6618, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sherman, Texas, Chapter 14, zoning ordinance, Section 14.02.001, zoning districts established, 14.02.002, zoning equivalency table, 14.03.008, arts and cultural overlay district, 14.03.009, central business district overlay district, 14.10.001, use chart, repealing the arts and cultural overlay district, modifying certain existing regulations and prescribing new regulations relating to the central business district overlay district, and establishing new subdistricts, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, this is a recommendation from staff to update the central business district overlay. Couple months ago, when the county came in to request a zoning text amendment, as staff, we decided it would be a good time to update our overlay district as well. As part of the zoning ordinance last year, the 2022 zoning ordinance updates, We did meet with the P&Z subcommittee about changing all the overlay districts as well, but because of some of the requirements to notify all the people within those locations, we decided to hold off on any recommendations at that time for those overlay districts. But with the Grayson County changes and their recommended changes, we decided to take a stab at that and update the overlay district for the central business district. A few of the items that are kind of a big deal or were a big deal for some of the stakeholders in downtown was one of the things recommended is revoking or repealing the arts and cultural overlay district. This is a zoning overlay district that's completely encompassed within the central business district already. They are overlapping overlays. So what we did is try to incorporate the regulations in that district into the central business district update that is in front of you today. That change has nothing to do with the cultural district that was established by Kerry Wacker back in 2018. And that was part of the confusion a couple months ago about the repealing of the arts and cultural district. What this update does is add additional regulations for downtown on the look of buildings, the architecture of buildings, the setbacks of buildings in different parts of the overlay, and essentially make them consistent with the other overlay districts that we have in the city, such as the 1417 overlay, the 75 Highway 75 overlay. That was the intent. We had a meeting with the Main Street Board. We had a special called meeting with the Planning and Zoning Committee as well, and they voted 7-0 to approve these updates. Be happy to go through in more detail if you would like on those recommended changes, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, Linda, if you'll read D7 for us, please.
Ordinance 6619, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Sherman's zoning ordinance Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, to rezone a tract of land consisting of 43.9389 acres, Tract 1 being 42.8134 acres in the John Hendricks Survey, Abstract Number 503, the W.F. Patterson Survey, Abstract Number 969, the Daniel Shelp Survey, Abstract Number 1097, and the T.J. Shannon Survey, Abstract Number 1136, Lots 1 and 3, Block 1, Midway Mall, and Tract 2 consisting of 6.9124 acres in the John Hendricks Survey, Abstract Number 503, and the W.F. Patterson Survey, Abstract Number 969, Lots 5, 6, and 7, Block 1 of the replat of Midway Mall, City of Sherman, Grayson County, Texas, located at 4800 Texoma Parkway, heretofore zoned M1 Light Manufacturing District and C2 General Commercial District, rezoning and placing the tract in the C2 General Commercial District classification.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this is an item for rezoning from a M1 and a C2 district to a C2 district. You heard part of this item at the June 26th special called meeting, but another part of the zoning change happened at the last P&Z meeting, so that's why it's on the public hearing. At the May 16th meeting and the June 19th meeting, Planning and Zoning heard this zone change and recommended approval 7-0.
Very good. Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Yes, sir. Okay, are you just here to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No worries. Anyone else? Okay. This time we'll close the public hearing and consider the adoption of the ordinances. And we do have D8 and D9 from the last council meeting that we voted to table. So we'll need a motion to pull those off the table.
That's right.
If we want to consider them.
I'll make a motion to untable D8 and D9.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so these two items are included in the adoption for ordinances discussion. So, council questions, discussion regarding to the items on public hearing this evening.
Shall we just start with the
I was
top?
gonna let you take it away.
Okay, I'll take
Okay.
it away. All right. let's go ahead and start with D2, which is ordinance 6614. And I don't have any questions or problems with that because it's it's already a mini warehouse. So I am going to make a motion that we approve 6614.
Okay,
Second.
motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item is approved. Thank you, council. Okay,
Then we'll go ahead.
I got one. I got a question on
yes, please.
6613.
Okay,
D1. I know that's an existing building, and I know I read over here that you're gonna have a repair shop in the same location. Are you gonna put a new building for that, or are you?
Yes, I did request that during the planning and development meeting last month.
So you have an office in a shop?
It would currently it is only an office area.
Yes.
So yes, so it's situated just for sales at this time. It's an administrative building. We had requested a small workshop for just prepping vehicles. That was the portion that you had read about. The reason for our special use permit is allow us to prepare our vehicles in an indoor facility that's not in the administrative building.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
If nobody else has any questions, I'm going to make a recommendation or a motion that we pass 6613.
okay.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right.
That brings us up to 6615. I'm just working my way through.
Okay,
All right. Nobody seems to have a question, so I'm going to make a recommendation and a motion that we pass 6615.
Second.
okay. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right,
All right.
discussion on the next one?
Then 6616. Just keep moving along. Glad to see there'll be a use for this, so I'll make the motion that we approve 60. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
616. I'm sorry.
No, go.
There's no one here to ask about that, but I know that this piece of land they had an issue before. It was something to do with they had to scrape all the sand back off and stuff like that. But if you look at the property line, it goes straight right in the middle of this porch and the house next door.
Okay, I think Rob can speak to that.
Actually. So what's gonna happen to that?
Yeah, well, we actually got a complaint from that neighbor to the south when they had added extra fill to the property and they put retaining walls. When the survey was completed and our inspectors went out there, we found that the porch actually went onto the subject property.
Okay.
So we had them remove that porch since it wasn't legal. It legally went into the other lot.
Okay, so it has been removed already?
It has been removed. Yes.
And the imported fill into the flood plain has been
I did
removed.
see that they took it away. All right. Carry on.
All right. Then I will make a motion on 6616 that we approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council.
All right, moving on to 6617. I know we're all love the little store, so it would be nice to have even more parking. So I'm going to make a motion for the approval of 6617.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council.
All right, moving on to 6618. This one being a recommendation from the staff. It was a little confusing, but I think I've got it straight now. So if nobody else has questions, y'all all good? Then I'll make a motion for 6618 to be passed.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Okay. 6619.
Then 6619. We've had some things come up on this, and I want to make sure I know what is going to be done with the Old Midway Mall. How is this gonna impact that?
This item's just for zoning, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, this, there's 3 items that are related to the same applicant. The applicant is here today. The first one was the zoning item, to have
Okay.
the Midway Mall all rezoned as C2.
And so what kind of things will they be able to, go ahead and give me an idea of what can they do with Midway Mall with this zoning change?
Well, anything retail for sure.
Retail,
um,
okay.
is permitted, and there are certain things like mini warehouse that's allowed, but you have to get a
Special
specific use permit.
SUP.
So those are things, even a hotel would need to be rezoned to C1. So things like that might not be allowed, but we've already been talking with the applicant about the desire to include a hotel at the site. He understands that that change, but yeah, there's a lot of different things that could be done with the C2 district.
All right.
So, I'm just gonna take, 6619, 6603, and 6604 and sort of lump them together for the purpose of asking a question. Can you explain to us the overall usage of the site? I think we were confused at the last meeting as to, there's some question whether cars would be driving through the mall or not and how that would work. Can you just give us an overview of the proposed usage?
Yeah, and you should have several documents, I believe, that were sent out to you that if somebody could call up, I could help. But first of all, I want to apologize. I wasn't at the last meeting. I was at the one that got canceled. And then that last one ended up being out of the country, or I would have been here. So I apologize for that. But if we can call up those.
I think he's trying to, okay, there we go.
There it is.
Okay. So right now, what we're proposing to do is basically take by the way, we own the entire site other than the Dillard's store. Dillard's owns their own building. And what we're proposing to do is take from Burlington all the way down past the old Penny's building and continue that as a retail location. And we've had a lot of activity and have signed several new leases, in fact, to start to fill that space up. I think we're up to 6 or 7 new tenants that are going to be moving in there within the next 30 to 60 days. The second part is the middle of the building. What we're going to do over in two phases is we're going to take the old Beals space that is kind of the box in red where it says storage units, and we're going to turn that into indoor climate controlled storage where you'll initially just pull in to like you would pull in your house in your garage. Garage door would go down, you'd get out, you unload your goods, you put them on a cart, and you'd wheel to your storage unit. Eventually, though, what we're going to do is take that entire piece and build a one-way road that will go through the facility. Oh, thank you. Okay, to point. Okay, so eventually we'll build a one-way road that will go through the building that we've been working with the city's engineer and fire department to make sure we comply with all the codes. And the concept, we've built this in several other cities, is really more of a convenience and security issue so that someone can pull in, the door will close behind them, they'll pull up right near their storage unit, they can get out, they can easily put their items into their storage unit, get back in their car, and then drive back out of the building. So that's the concept with what I'd call this middle part of the building that's outlined in red. And then what we're proposing for the back part of the building is to make this available for warehouse space. And this is just a rendering of what we anticipate having for warehouse sizes. But candidly, we would rent out space for warehouses of anywhere from, say, 5,000 to 150,000 square feet for warehouse space. It really depends on the tenants that we get through the course of our marketing efforts. We've had a lot of activity on the old Sears box, but right now we haven't had anybody sign a lease yet. And so that's the plan. There also should have been a master like overlay picture of the entire parcel that we sent to you. Rob, is that in
I
here? or
don't
no?
think we have it in the PowerPoint.
Okay, so the other part of the plan that I'll just talk about is if you were over this way on across the little ring road that goes around the mall, there's a 3.3 acre parcel right there behind the equipment rental store. We're talking to several people about building a hotel there. And then if this is the main road, Texcoma Parkway Road, what we're talking about doing out by the road is adding 2 to 4 more what I'd call box stores where we'll build, you know, say 4 to 12,000 foot stores, and then we can break that up again into pieces based on the use of the tenant. You know, do they need 2,000 square feet or do they need 4 or 5,000 square feet? So, and then the middle here would be where people would park. So this would be parking. The back here would be the storage where you'll pull in, and then in the back would be where we capture all the warehouse facilities. So
I have a
that's kind of
question.
what we're looking at doing. Yes, sir.
I have a question. I know if anybody else is confused about this. You have it right there, a little road that says one-way drive aisle, but it's only an exit. Where will be the entrance to that?
Yep. So the entrance is in phase 1 we're building is right here, where people will pull into the Beals when we build the first phase. Will be right there.
Okay.
And then we'll extend that drive lane so that it'll come all the way through, right through there.
What cities are using this? You said you have multiple cities that already have this in place?
Yeah, this is about our 30th property that we'll be building. And of those, I'd say about 25 of them have drive aisles. Drive aisles in indoor climate controlled storage facilities is not unique. I don't want it to sound like we're the only game in town that does it. There are other people that do it. But it's kind of been one of our go-tos because we think it adds a really big safety factor, and it also keeps people out of the elements. You know, the last thing you want to be doing is moving on a Saturday and it's pouring rain and you're trying to get your valuables into your storage unit and they're getting soaking wet as you're moving your items in. So this helps the customer be able to move in a safe and more eco-friendly way, I guess I'd call it.
I like that idea, except I'm still concerned about the retailers in front of that and how it might impact, you know, with the exhaust from the cars, there's a whole, I'm sure there's a whole gamut of things I wouldn't even think of and stuff. And how do you protect the retailers and the patrons in the buildings?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So where this yellow line is, first of all, that will be a rated firewall. So and it back where the black line is here. So there'll be firewalls to separate the 3 sections of the building. Additionally, when you pull in with your car, which will have staff on site, it's not like you pull in and you leave your car running. It's you pull in, you shut your car off, and then on top of that, we run a CO and NO monitoring system that has big fans in it, so that if the CO level or the NO level gets above a certain point, that will turn the fans on and blow out all of those fumes. And we've done this successfully in other malls attached to retail facilities, again, all over the country.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'd like to ask our fire chief, who I see sitting over there.
No, it's over there.
Oh, where's our fire marshal? Look at how quickly he
Pushed it off on somebody else.
So let's just talk about from your perspective. What do you see here, and as a matter of getting this approved, is it doable?
I've not seen a detailed plan in this one. I've only seen the overview of what they wanted to do. He spoke once that there's a phase 1 and a phase 2 of it.
Far as my understanding, phase one only includes one way out, and then the way you came in is the way you got to go out. I believe the blue possibly is a phase two section, which I don't know the date timelines on that.
Well, with the exhaust and the venting and the firewalls, I just want to know. You know, we'll get through permitting and you'll go do your inspections. But if there's some big, this is not gonna ever work, I want to know now rather than when he doesn't pass inspection.
I don't believe there's a way to do it. It's going to take a lot. I believe the building official has wrote out the exact exhaust codes he needs to follow. Other than firewalls, that will all be required just as normal. The building's sprinkled, so that will all have to be caught up to date to appease the occupancy that they're using, the occupancy type. So.
Okay.
Dylan, is there an issue with only one way in and one way out for either
the
phase one or two? I mean,
for the phase one, I find it a big safety issue. Obviously, if one car comes in, the next one behind it, they catch fire, or the front car has an emergency. There's only one way to get out of that. I have not seen any measurements on the height of the drives, the widths of them, whether they can turn around. So I guess there's a way to do it. I don't know if he has enough there to work with, space-wise.
Can I just address that comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the phase one area where we're building what I call a garage, it's literally a garage. So and it's going to be wide enough. Just think of your house where it's a 2-car garage. So it's going to be big enough for 2 trucks to pull in and be unloading at the same time. No one's going to be stacked in front of anybody. So you'll pull in, again, the garage door will close. You'll do your thing and you'll leave. We've found in this business doing it enough that, a busy day might be 4 or 5 people moving in or out on the same day. This isn't a type of business where you're turning hundreds of people through the building. It's the same with the entire drive lane. I mean, we average, because we track it, about 10 to 12 people, let's call it, visiting their storage unit during the course of the day. And when you think about that big, massive of a space, candidly, you could probably park a car there in the middle, leave it turned on all day, and it's not like you're in your confined garage. I mean, we're talking about almost 200,000 square feet that already has fresh air going through it from all the HVAC equipment that's running. So all the added, CO detectors and the extra fans and stuff just give you extra comfort that if somebody did leave their car running, you're going to be okay. But that's pretty common in this way, because what you don't want people is passing people driving back and forth each way. It is wide enough too that there's a parking lane and a driving lane, so it's not a narrow road either. So people will park on one side, you'll drive through on the other. So in theory, if somebody did have to back out in the case of an emergency, they could. But that's not really the normal.
But they would have to back out because they can't turn around.
Can I just ask a question, and also to add some clarification on the plans that were submitted for phase one of the mini warehouse? There does show to be bollards located within that drive aisle with 40 foot into the drive-through area. So it appears from what was submitted that cars would be allowed 40 feet in, and that's the extent. They wouldn't be able to go all the way to the end of phase one. Is that correct, or is it?
Yes.
I'm not sure if that changes anything but that's what they had shown on the submitted plans.
Okay, so for phase one, the maximum distance that they can go into the storage facility would be 40 feet.
According to the plans that they submitted that were in their packet, it's on page 209, shows those bollards located 40 feet.
I mean, that's basically to accommodate, a large, Penske or U-Haul rental truck
right
from end to end.
so if in phase two in the blue, the width of that would or would not allow for a truck to, if there's something happening, north of that, so towards Dillard's, there's no way to turn around. You're having this truck back out if there's an event. Is that correct?
If there was an event, it would either stay in place till the event was dealt with, or it would need to back out. Yes.
Okay.
But the drive lanes are wide enough such that, again, 2, call it just like a two-lane road. So
Sure.
two trucks could be right side by side. The fire department could pull in, go past the car that's parked, get to the, like you said, to the event. If there's something going on by Dillard's, the car is halfway through, they could go right around them very easily. And the car itself could back out, or in theory, you could even K-turn your way out eventually.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going with that. I mean, if you have a truck that's a U-Haul truck that's 500 feet in and it needs to get back out south, it's backing up, all the while fire department's trying to get their apparatus in. It just seems like kind of a little bit of a confined space, but I don't know. That's why we'd be relying on our fire department and our building officials and all to look at the plans to make sure they would work.
We're going to follow whatever the building code says, plus what the people in the city recommend for us to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm inclined to approve it. If you can get the fire marshal to permit it, then we know it'll be safe.
At the
But that's risk that you're going to take and not.
Hey,
right,
Rob, when we have, or Dylan, either one, when we have vehicles in a building inside an existing structure like this, do we have special requirements for the fire sprinkler system?
As far as I know, and
I mean, does the density change?
I mean, the fire load is increasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And storage already is high fire load, plus adding multiple vehicles, large trucks in there. Definitely
Okay.
increasing it.
So there would be a chance, for instance, that the fire suppression system or sprinkler system would have to be upgraded as well to meet these new load demands.
We would also treat the building as similar to a parking garage, an enclosed parking garage or an underground parking, where it would have to have the standards that those type of parking structures would have.
Can we, I think the hesitation we all have is the blue, the phase 2. We don't have a problem with the retail. That sounds wonderful. Don't even have a problem with the back side of it, which is the west over there where your warehouse storage. And probably don't have too much problem with the individual storage and stuff. It's just we're still kind of trying to wrap our head around how they get in and out. So can we approve phase 1 without phase 2 being included? And you can bring back, the
And also, I was also looking at it. What kind of door are you gonna have as you exit into the parking lot? Is it a overhead door?
Right. It's typically we put in a 14 by 14 overhead garage door that is, just like you pull out of to Rob's point, you pull in out of a parking garage, you hit a sensor,
Mhm.
the door will go up, the
Okay.
gate will go up, and you'll drive out, the door will close behind you.
Is that gonna be high enough for like let's say a fire truck?
14 foots.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
14 feet high enough actually for an 18-foot truck.
Okay.
So with all these questions about the sprinkler system, what's your response to that?
My response is we've built these before in other cities and we'll make it compliant with what it needs to be safe and secure.
Yeah, considering that, I'm inclined to move to approve 6619, 6603, and 6604.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, Linda, if you'll read E1 for us, please.
Resolution 7104, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of the amended and restated Master Development Agreement between the City of Sherman and Sherman Hickory Hill LLC for the construction of public facilities of the planned development known as Hickory Hill, being a residential development west of Carriage Estates Road in the City of Sherman.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Clint?
So this agreement you've seen here recently in June. This amended agreement came to you guys in June. It was brought to your attention to better define who pays and who installs for the water and sewer infrastructure. The other piece of the Master Development Agreement had to do with funding and construction of Lamberth Road and Friendship Road. And so between then and now, we have firm bid pricing from the developer on Friendship Road and Lambeth Road. And so this amended and restated master development includes those updated pricing, which are based on bid prices. And since the previous one was approved, it was not fully executed by the developer. So we're proposing, and developers agreed to just revoke the previous one and just have this one restated agreement. So with your approval, they should get financing very quickly and move forward with the construction of Lambeth Road, Friendship Road, and the single-family portion of this development.
Thank you, Clint. Council, questions, discussion regarding this resolution?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Council. Linda, if you'll read E2 for us, please.
Resolution 7105, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement with DNS Engineering Labs, LLC, now doing business as Geotex Engineering, LLC, for the annual geotechnical, engineering, and construction materials testing.
Thank you, Linda. Wayne?
Mayor, Council. So this is a professional services agreement we entered into back in December with DNS Engineering Labs, now Geotex Engineering, for annual geotech engineering services and construction material testing. We use this on all our subdivision testing that's done, or geotech investigations we have to do for projects. The amount awarded was for an estimated $275,000. We hit $254,000 in late May. And so we're coming to you with an amendment to that estimated amount, increasing it to about $600,000 to take us to December, hopefully.
Yep.
A lot of development going on.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve 7105.
Second.
Okay. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne. Linda, if you'll read E3 for us, please.
Resolution 7106, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman approving the Greater Texoma Utility Authority's intention to award the guaranteed maximum price 3 for Garney Companies Incorporated for the 36-inch West Sherman water main.
Thank you, Linda. Tom, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm going to keep it shorter tonight, so I promise. With Council approval of this agenda item, the City of Sherman will be concurring with the Greater Texoma Utility Authority to award pre-construction work package. This is under 3.0. It has 4 components. The pipe, which was rebid from bid package 1.01, it's been rebid and is now in this bid package 3.01. Also was a contingency allowance, some butterfly valves that were added from bid package 2, and butterfly valves from bid package 1, and added a little bit more tunneling from bid package 2. Concurrence to approve this will initiate contract execution with Garney to add this pipe package. The execution will begin as soon as they're executed. Bid package number 4 will be beginning about August for construction. I'll be happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Motion to approve resolution number 7106.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see you as always. All right, Linda, if you'll read G1 for us, please.
Change order number 2, design of the new Sherman City Hall, M. Arthur Gensler Jr. and Associates Incorporated for master planning services associated with the northwest section of downtown and the proposed City Hall for a price not to exceed $30,000.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. I'm going to kick it to Robbie first.
Yeah, I'm going to tee it up and then hand it over to Zach. At the budget workshop and since the budget workshop, I've had conversations with several of you council members about not just the City Hall project, but just kind of more globally, what this means for downtown, but also some other concerns. So about the project itself, it's things like, well, how big does the city hall need to be? Um, how is it finished out? That affects the price as well. Cost per square foot, all of those different things. Since the workshop, we as a staff have worked internally and believe that there's probably 10 to 12,000 square feet from what was originally proposed or what you saw at the workshop to where we think the scope and scale of the project needs to be. So even that alone is millions of dollars of decrease. But in addition to that, some of the things that we took from the workshop and from conversation since then is there are so many priorities and responsibilities of the city to maintain what we have for streets and for parks and for other facilities that we don't want to lose sight of our first responsibility, which is to take care of what we have before we embark on spending money on construction of a new city hall or a new public works facility, etc. So what we're proposing is, although this item tonight is really just to allow Gensler to do a little bit more work, that we come back to you with a plan or description of a plan of what our intermediate and long-term plans are for parks, for streets, for maintenance of TxDOT right-of-way, which we've talked about internally and with TxDOT today, just to continue cleaning up the city. We had a separate presentation at the workshop about the great work that the Quality Neighborhoods program is having on the city. So we just want there to be maybe a warm tummy feel from you guys that we have a plan, and we have a plan to take care of the things that we have in all of those different areas. It doesn't mean we have to choose between building a city hall or a public works facility and doing these things. We just want you to feel comfortable that we can do all of those things, and we want you to have visibility into what our plans are with respect to that. So I'll let Zach describe kind of what this agenda item is, but I want you to know that probably within the next, maybe not by the end of the year, but certainly by first quarter of next year, we'll be bringing back a more significant discussion on what all of this means financially, what the plans would look like for streets and parks and maintenance and all those other things. So.
Yeah, so to build off of that, this is really from our budget workshop discussion. We were asked to bring back what may City Hall look like as it ties into downtown. How may downtown tie into City Hall? More specifically in this northwest portion, which is what we have tried to pare this down to. And so we have worked on several different aspects of City Hall. And this is one piece that we need to dig a little bit further into to get Gensler's help on. And so with this, we'll be able to bring you something back again later in the year. But we don't expect it to take real long, to be honest with you. However, we do recognize this as a piece of, to what Robbie mentioned, a larger plan. So I anticipate that this would get done pretty quickly, probably within a month or so, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we would bring it back as quickly. We may if it lends itself to that and the appropriate discussion. But if it needs to wait for something that, again, that allows us to have a more holistic conversation, we may do that. So I just say that so we set expectations that I anticipate this to be done probably within a month or so to tie downtown and the Northwest Corridor into this City Hall area. And I would say that the time to bring it back to show council is kind of to be determined.
One of the other things I failed to mention in my first comments are just from a matter of transparency. So this item really is just up to $30,000. So it wasn't one that we had to bring back to the city council by law. We just wanted there to be kind of open dialogue, transparent dialogue about our plans for this project and all projects. So just kind of in the vein of keeping you guys informed, wanted to bring this back to you.
Well, I just want to make a comment. I think everybody on the city council gets lots of complaints about the roads. And the roads aren't going to get any better. We would love to all have better roads, but they're not going to get any better until 75 gets finished and we can finally get to repairing our roads that are being overused right now, as we're all looking for ways around. And I know that some people think that looking at a new city hall might be just overspending, but what they don't know is the fact that we have trouble getting business done here because we don't have enough engineers. And you have to get in the queue and wait. Or we don't have enough inspectors because we don't have a place to put them. We could maybe hire them, but we don't have a place to have them work and to meet with our patrons, our clients from the city. And so that is one of the reasons we are looking at this. Because I know some people said, well, you only have X number of people who come in the building on a given day. Well, yeah, but that doesn't include all the people that, call on the phone, and and we hate to keep everybody waiting. So I'm just going to, I'm not saying we ought to build a city hall or how big. I'm just saying there's another side of the issue that people don't see. We don't even have a place for a cubicle anymore, I don't think, for anybody. Right. And so that's why we are at least looking at this issue for the future. And with that, I'll make a motion that we do this change order, unless somebody else has a comment.
Second.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, this time we'll get a preview of the 2023-2024 draft budget. Good evening, Mary.
This is not a required item, but we traditionally bring the budget back to you after the workshop before our first public hearing. The draft budget, it's mostly unchanged from the budget we presented at the June 15th workshop. Preliminary values for property tax are tracking about what we thought they would. We'll get final values at the beginning of next week. So the rate in the budget is as it was presented at the workshop at 0.508. The increase is all due to debt service on the 2023 certificate of obligation that funded all the projects we talked about excuse me, at the workshop. One thing the budget does not include is sales tax was up in July 47% over the previous year. And so this will add several days to fund balance. It's not reflected in there right now. So the next step is budget. The first public hearing on the budget will be next meeting, and then another public hearing on the 21st with final adoption will be voted on at that meeting as well. Tax rate only requires one public hearing. That will be August 21st as well.
Any questions?
I want to add a little bit to that as well. While we can't give too much detail on sales tax for confidentiality purposes, what we can say is a large chunk of the sales tax increase we're seeing isn't recurring. It's for construction related activities that while they may be going on over the next 2 or 3 years, aren't going to last forever at this level. And so we see those as kind of one-time monies, or at least that chunk of it. And so what we're trying to do is be diligent about how we use those funds. And in theory, we should be using those funds for one-time things, not to pay for ongoing operations like salaries or new employees or, the light bill or things like that. So, Mary's done a good job of raising sales taxes, dollars. No pressure.
Yeah.
But we do want to be wise about how we allocate and use those funds, and using them for one-time projects or non-recurring projects like streets or public works building or city hall or fire stations or whatever seem to be the best use for those. So we'll be able to augment and offset what would be borrowings on those facilities with the use of these one-time funds. So I think that's kind of worth noting as well. And no action needed on this. This is just
Giving you an
informational only.
opportunity.
Sure. Any questions, council?
Anything lingering from the budget workshop? Okay.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Mary.
All right. This time we'll receive quarterly progress report from Sherman Economic Development Corporation President Kent Sharp.
Thank you,
Kent,
Mayor.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Your
Mayor,
rockstar
Council.
team is here.
Yeah, they are. They are the ones who wrote this. I have to pare these things down every month because the ones you have in your packet are significantly larger, more voluminous than. Anyway, I do appreciate the mayor and the council allowing us to come over and share our progress on a quarterly basis with the city council and the community. So our mission, I'll just go down through this. As I said, we pared it down a little bit. Our mission is still the same, which is to grow and diversify the economy of Sherman and the surrounding area through the addition of new jobs and investment of primary employers. Top accomplishments from the past quarter, SEDCO board passed 2 resolutions. The first, 2023.09, basically authorized the sale of 6.3 acres in our Progress Park 5, which is located between Howe Drive and Panda Power. It's a long track that runs from Progress Drive all the way back to the railroad. The board authorized the sale of 6 acres in the back of that property along Howe Drive and the railroad, which is going to be used for an Encore substation. Encore is purchasing that property from us. They also have a substation currently on the other side, on the east side of Howe. Now they'll have one on the west side of this. Will be a fairly large substation. And the second resolution, 2023-14, this is the Globotech resolution. Globotech approached the board. It's completely separate from Global Wafers. They are now they're increasing their technology in the existing Globotech factory. They are going to be able to do, right now they can only apply epitaxial solution to silicon wafers. That's the legacy technology. A lot of things are moving to the new silicon carbide technology, so they wanted to be able to apply silicon carbide epitaxial to these new wafers that are being manufactured, mostly for electric vehicle and battery storage. The silicon carbide withstands a lot of heat, a lot better than silicon. So that's a $100 million investment that they're going to be undergoing out there. We, together with the city and Globotech, hosted a Taiwan delegation that's interested in expanding operations to, this was 20 companies probably, that came to Texas, and they actually came to Sherman, and we went out to Globotech and got to visit with them for about an hour. It was a good thing the Dallas Regional Chamber was part of it, so we got to, like I said, face-to-face meet with some of these companies and express our interest in them coming to Sherman. The RISE finalists presented their final presentations to the judges last quarter, and 3 of the 4 were awarded financing or awarded funding from SEDCO. Big Girl Spa was awarded $67,500. Tailored Trends received $75,000, and then Jade United was presented a $100,000 allocation. So we're excited to see those young entrepreneurs growing their businesses here with a little help from the community. Plans for the next quarter, of course, new business attraction. We're still going after the semiconductor suppliers, but we are also still actively engaged in traditional manufacturing. Those manufacturers types that have been in our community for years and years and years. We're still actively pursuing those companies. We have a new Austin College sophomore, Akshana Saravanan. She will start as a SEDCO intern next month in August. I think she starts in August, yeah. So we're excited to see her coming on board. Of course, in September, we'll host a joint meeting with the City Council, hopefully for y'all to review and approve our program of work for next year and our budget for next year. We're going to host a plant manager and safety leader forum at Modular Power Solutions also in September. And then we're going to contact each company with a job listing. On the ones who have job listings on the Sherman TX jobs, we contact those for updates. New listings will be posted on social media. So we're still trying to help the companies stay engaged with the companies to get those job openings that they have out. We use social media a lot to do that. Meetings, we met, the board met on 3 regular scheduled meetings, April the 11th, May 9th, and June 13th. And then we posted an agenda for a special call meeting. It was for a possible quorum at the RISE celebration that we had at Austin College. We posted that agenda and a quorum was present, but we didn't call a meeting to order because they weren't discussing Sedco business. They were just there to hear the ceremony. 100% of the quorum was present, and each one of Sedco board members were present in each of our 3 regular scheduled meetings. We had one board member, Jason Brum, who was unable to attend just one of the 3 regular scheduled meetings. Of course, that puts him below the 75%. So that's why we're reporting that. Jason misses very few meetings. Other information we'd like to communicate to the council. Presently, we're working on 10 active projects, just under $3 billion in capital investment if all those were to come in, and represents about 1,805 new jobs. We've completed 4 site visits and prospect calls with companies interested in relocating and or expanding to Sherman. Ashton and Shannon, April, did you go to the Taiwan? Was that just you? And Ashton and Shannon attended the Taiwan Trade Center opening ceremony in Dallas, and they got to be face-to-face with 3 one-on-one meetings with semiconductor suppliers interested in operations in Sherman. So we really are trying to get not just contact, but we like to get face time. We had a site visit or a company visit today from a Korean company with operations in Japan. We're looking at adding an apron on Howe Drive. That is because and Howe is the road, for those of you who don't know, it is between Sunny Delight on the west side and then Kaiser Aluminum Tyson on the east side. That road with Sunny Delight adding that Juicy Juice line, I mean, it is significantly a lot more trucks in there. It gets much more crowded. So we've engaged an engineer and paying a few $1,000s to have them come up and work with the city, develop a plan to add some apron in there to maybe ease some of that congestion. We had also looked at adding apron on Progress Drive, but with the city building Progress Drive extension, that's being 4 lanes, that we feel like that'll relieve and not have a need to put an apron on Progress Drive. So that's a good thing. Let's see, we actually, in our business retention and expansion meetings that we go out, our outreach, we visited Arctic Bracing, Emerson, Eternity Technologies, Modular Power Solutions, and PQD International. We've met with the city a few times to determine the cost of upcoming infrastructure projects, namely Progress Park Drive Extension and Flannery Road Extension from Progress Drive up to 1417. Feel like we've got a good number and a good handle on that. The aerial maps that we all use, we update those periodically. The last update was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. A lot happens in 2 years, especially those last 2 years. So those maps are being updated now and should be done before the end of the year, I think. Yeah. Okay, they're already, just need to get them printed. Okay. Let's see. Shannon does a lot with social media, sponsored 9 ads on Facebook, highlighting Sherman industries, available jobs, and the Sherman community, including our downtown. We reached a total of almost 400,000 people last quarter, had 2,631 link clicks, which the post engagement, we had 52,000 people engage after engagements after the people clicked, and 3 plays on our videos, almost $40,000. And just one last thing I'd like to address with the council. One thing that's kind of interesting is, you know, a few years ago, well, two years ago, before the announcement at Texas Instruments, as a community, we owned a lot of land. Sedco owned a lot of land. I mean, 700 acres of land. And we could not get developers to come in and build spec buildings, but we still had a lot of companies saying, and we got a lot of requests from the governor's office and from site consultants saying, hey, do you have any available existing industry space? And we didn't. We tried everything in the world. We talked to out-of-town developers, some as close as Denton and McKinney, and they just wanted too much. They wanted us to guarantee a certain base lease for so many years, and it just, the board felt like that we were taking more of the risk than the developer. Now, here comes TI and Global Wafers, and we've got people calling us and saying, we'll buy every acre you got for X amount, which is a really good price, and we'll put 500,000 square feet of space in. That was roughly a little over a year ago. So it was really interesting. It's like just complete 180 from where we're at. What's happened now, and I'll give you an example. Let's say we have a supplier that wants to come into Sherman, and you've got a developer who's willing to build a 200,000 square foot building on land that Sedco owns and sells that developer. And the tenant that the developer is working for is a supplier to either Global Wafers or TI or both, but they only need 100,000 square foot of that. Well, before that was plenty enough to get that developer to go ahead and build 200,000 because, okay, we'll fill the other one up even if we have to do the other 100,000 square foot free, we might have to do 250,000 or whatever the case was. But now what's happening, the interest from the developers there, but banks have pulled they've gotten real risk adverse now, and part of it is just the higher interest rates that the Fed has caused. The interest rate cost of borrowing money, and they just spec is not real high on their safe bets right now. So it's very frustrating because we need that spec space because these companies, we're dealing with some small suppliers that have really good jobs from 15 jobs to 30 jobs to up to 100. One of them is 100 employees. That company averages 82,000. But it's just trying to get the space built for those companies to occupy. We have another company that is smaller, 15 jobs, but they're in the testing and assembly of the semi supply chain. I don't know what their jobs pay, but I'm sure it's averaging over 75,000. It's 15, 20 jobs. They just need 15,000 square foot to start off. We cannot find them a building in Sherman. We have not found a building in Grayson County, and they don't need 20-foot sidewalls. It's just, I just wanted to bring that to your attention because not all the growth and everything, it's challenging as the city's finding out with infrastructure. I mean, there's a whole other set of circumstances you have to look at, and I'm not up here trying to whine because obviously we're in a good position. People still look at us and go, "Wow, that's." But there are some struggles that come with this growth, and we're going to continue to work through it. And if you guys have any suggestions, ideas, if you know of any buildings, please let us know. And that's all I have here.
I don't have any questions. I do want to just give a shout out to your staff, which I think does a really good job, very good job on the social media aspect and just kind of reaching the community. So kudos to your team of crack staff, right? Top notch, top shelf, whatever you want to call it.
They really do. Thank you so much. That's very kind. They do a great job. Best team in the state, probably the country.
And I'd like to make a comment, and because I doubt any of the men would have seen this, but one of the winners of your RISE entrepreneurship program, Taylor Trends, yesterday, she bought a building with her money. And last night, and I didn't see it advertised until late yesterday, she opened a thing called Moonlight Markets and debuted it yesterday. And she was inviting other small entrepreneurs to come into her building and display their wares and invited people to come shop. Well, this happens to be, the building she bought happens to be on First Street. And last night it was bumper to bumper traffic on First Street, which you never see. And I forgot what she was doing. And then all of a sudden I realized, and she has a big sign up there. So the money that she won through the entrepreneurship has been used well.
Absolutely.
And I know she's supposed to do this market like every month, once a month, and try and encourage other entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. So, Ashton was there last night. She said it went really well. It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
What's the cross street there? The closest cross street? Is it like King
I know where
or
it's
something?
right down from one of the city
it's
recycling.
right next to the
Recycling.
the garage that's going to be going away.
Rosedale, by Rosedale and King and First.
Yeah.
In the city recycling center, just right there.
It's next door to that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
And if you go
between
just a
King
little
and,
farther south, you'll get to Centennial.
Gotcha.
So it's north of
so
Centennial.
between King and Centennial.
Right, but it looks like a big warehouse, and she has her label on it, and, as I said, there were cars everywhere last night, which was exciting. So thank you. Just want to give a plug for her
Appreciate that.
and for your Rise entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Great program.
Good job. Yeah. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, council, we are to council comments. Henry, I'm gonna start with you tonight.
All right, I just want to say congratulations to Park and Recreation and the city of Sherman too for the pickleball courts. Great success. Heard nothing but good things about it.
None from me, Mr. Mayor.
No comment from me.
No comment.
All right, so as far as announcements go, this week, our last official summer concert, we are hosting Pat Green, opened by Greg and Sawyer Guyman. Am I saying that right? Guyman? Yes. So y'all come out Thursday, and it starts at 7 o'clock. We have a really good time, and I think Pat Green is kind of a local act. I don't know. I've heard he's pretty decent. Okay. All right. City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074, to discuss the city manager evaluation. So at 6:11, we'll go into executive session.